Damn, that new neighbor is hot. I mean, the kind of hot that makes you want to suddenly take up jogging or power washing the driveway. Muscles flexing under that ratty old t-shirt, a drop of sweat running down his neck. Sorry, focus. I just casually mentioned to Mark, hey, the new neighbor's kinda cute. He grunts at his phone and I swear, if it were surgically attached to his hand, it would be less annoying. The next day, Mr. Muscles waves as I'm walking the dog. Hey there, his voice is rough and low. Kinda sexy. I give him a little extra smile, nothing crazy, just a bit flirty. He trips over his own feet and a blush spreads across his face. Yeah, definitely cute. Sure, I probably shouldn't be thinking about the hot neighbor when I've got a perfectly good husband snoring beside me, but Mark's been buried in his laptop most nights, barely talking to me. He comes to bed late, phone buzzing with some mystery message, and then just rolls over. Something about it all itches at me. So yeah, maybe I find myself, accidentally, heading out to water the flowers at the exact same time Mr. Muscles, Josh, I think his name is tending his garden. And yeah, maybe my daydreams have started starring a certain chiseled neighbor instead of that spreadsheet Mark always talks about. Harmless, right? Just a little fantasy to get me through these boring days. But then last night, that late night buzz. Mark glances at his phone, frowns, and shoves it into his pocket. As he turns away, I catch the screen for a split second, a woman's name I don't recognize. A jolt of something ugly twists in my gut. Maybe I need a little less fantasy and a lot more spying on my suddenly suspicious husband. The cookies were a stroke of genius. One batch and now I have a legitimate reason to drop by Josh's place. He welcomes me in with that easy smile that makes my knees a little weak. We sit at his kitchen table, lemonade sweating in the afternoon sun, and just talk. Turns out, he's not just a pretty face. He's funny, a little self-deprecating, and actually asks about me, not just rattling on about himself. It's a novelty compared to the grunts and distracted murmurs I get at home. Soon enough, a quick cookie drop-off turns into an hour-long chat, then two. I linger, finding any excuse to stretch out my visits. He never seems to mind, and his attention feels like a warm spotlight, chasing away the shadows that have crept into my life with Mark. Speaking of Mark, things at home are getting weirder. He's coming home earlier, all smiles and that nervous energy of someone with a secret. And instead of his usual frozen dinners, the kitchen smells like Thai or Indian, food I've never seen him order before. Did I suddenly marry a foodie without realizing it? Then there's the perfume. One night I catch it on his shirt, sweet and floral, definitely not something I wear. My stomach churns. It would be too ridiculous, too cliché. Mark wouldn't cheat, would he? The more I think about it, the more Josh starts to seem like a refuge. His place is bright and airy, his smile genuine. With him, I forget all the messy questions circling inside me. Until that one afternoon when he's refilling my lemonade and his hand brushes mine. Just for a second, but the warmth of it lingers on my skin. I should pull away. I know I should. But I find myself leaning just the slightest bit closer. He must notice because his eyes flicker to mine. The air thickens. Am I seriously considering this? Is flirting with the hot neighbor my twisted way of getting back at Mark? Or is there something real here, a dangerous spark I can't seem to extinguish? The garden shears slip from my hand. Not an accident. I've been planning this clumsy moment for days. Josh catches me with a laugh, his hand firm on my waist. Steady there, he says, and something in his voice ignites a warmth low in my belly. It's wrong, so wrong, but I can't seem to make myself move. Later that evening, he knocks on my back door with a bottle of wine. Thought you might need company, he says, that familiar smile playing on his lips. I shouldn't, but I let him in. One glass turns into two, and soon all the doubts and fears I've been drowning come bubbling to the surface. I spill everything. The perfume on Mark's clothes, the late-night messages, the coldness that's settled into our house. Josh listens, his eyebrows drawing together. There's sympathy in his eyes, but I notice it's mixed with something else, a dark glint. I should stop talking, but the words keep tumbling out, fueled by the wine and an overwhelming sense of desperation. Before I know it, his hand is on my knee, a soft squeeze. His touch doesn't feel predatory, more comforting. My skin buzzes, a dangerous mixture of guilt and a longing I've tried so long to ignore. I don't pull away. He doesn't deserve you, Josh murmurs. It's so cliché, yet my traitorous heart skips a beat. He stands, pulling me up with him. The room spins, and for a terrifying, exhilarating second, I think I know what comes next. Josh steps closer, his eyes searching mine. Panic and desire twist a knot in my stomach. This is insane. I have a husband, even if he's whatever he is now. But as Josh leans in, a soft brush of breath against my cheek, it feels more like falling than a choice. Then, it happens. The kiss. It's not slow and sweet, it's desperate, hungry, erasing everything but the feel of his lips on mine. I gasp, breaking away. I can't, I whisper, my voice barely audible over the pounding of my pulse. A mix of disgust and a strange thrill wash over me. I did this. I crossed a line I can never uncross. My skin burns everywhere Josh touched me. Shame crashes over me in waves, followed by flashes of that addictive, illicit thrill. I try to scrub the memory away in a scalding shower, but I can't escape his scent, a heady mix of crisp laundry and something warm, so distinctly him. Sleep is impossible. I lie awake next to Mark, his snores a grating soundtrack to my racing thoughts. I hate him. No, I hate myself. No, I don't know what I feel anymore. All I know is that I crave another taste of Josh, a hit of that fleeting, dangerous happiness. And Mark? He's acting weird. More affectionate, like a puppy that's been caught chewing up the expensive shoes. Did he sense something? Guilt makes a mockery of the sweet gestures, the omelets he suddenly knows how to make. My own guilt is a hungry beast twisting in my gut, but I push it down. I deserve a little happiness, I tell myself, even if it all comes wrapped in lies. Josh is on my mind 24/7. I text him whenever I find a safe moment, flirty little messages, double entendres. We engineer accidental meetings at the park, at the grocery store, his hand brushing mine as we both reach for the same head of lettuce. It's a game now, both terrifying and intoxicating. Then one afternoon my phone vibrates. Kid spending the night at his mom's. My place? My pulse rockets. This is it, the line I swore I wouldn't cross. The invitation hangs in the air, a tantalizing dare. My hands shake as I type, yes. That night, as Mark works late, I slip out. The drive to Josh's house is a blur. Guilt and anticipation churn in my stomach. When he opens the door, desire wins. The guilt can come in the morning. The drive to Josh's is one big knot in my stomach. Fear and longing war inside me. What the hell am I doing? But the closer I get, the more a reckless excitement takes over, pushing aside the rational voice whispering warnings. Josh opens the door, and I'm lost. The kiss isn't hesitant this time, it's demanding, desperate. In a whirlwind, he's ushering me inside, and hesitation shatters. Clothes fly off. Hands grasp, roam, claim. The act itself is a blur of stolen moments and hushed moans. Right and wrong tangle on my tongue, impossible to separate. Afterwards, my limbs feel heavy, my insides a strange mix of buzzing nerves and a leaden dread. Yet, even as the shame starts creeping back, there's a flicker of something else, power. I crossed a line, shattered everything I thought I knew about myself, and the intoxicating thrill of it sits dangerously close to the guilt. Girls' night, I lie to Mark later, the words barely recognizable as my own. He doesn't question it, and that, more than anything, fuels the fury simmering beneath my skin. My lies become a weapon, a way to strike back against the ghost of his own potential betrayals. Josh and I fall into a pattern. Chance. Encounters morph into planned rendezvous filled with breathless whispers and stolen touches. I spin elaborate tales for Mark, spa days, book clubs, anything to justify my absences. Each lie sharpens the thrill of the affair, feeding that dangerous sense of control. I become a different person. I'm reckless, tossing caution to the wind. I meet Josh during Mark's lunch break, make flimsy excuses to leave work early. Fear is a constant companion, yet the rush that comes with outsmarting everyone, Mark, my friends, perhaps even myself, is addictive. It's a fire in my blood, and I'm terrified of it burning me to the ground. My hands tremble as I scroll through Mark's texts. The name, Sarah, leaps out, a series of flirty exchanges, suggestive emojis. My rage burns away the last flicker of guilt over Josh. If Mark gets to have a secret life, then damn it, so do I. A twisted sort of logic takes over. Revenge feels like the only thing to quell the fury in my veins. I won't be some sad, betrayed wife. I'll show Mark what it's like to be played for a fool. I become a woman obsessed, a chillingly focused hunter weaving a web of deceit. My next tryst with Josh isn't just about the physical release. I start dropping hints, carefully placed barbs disguised as idle complaints. Mark's so distant lately. His usual easy smile falters, replaced by a guarded look. Perfect. He knows something, he has to. It gives me a strange sense of satisfaction, twisting the power dynamic between us. Then, the real play. Have you ever met a woman named Sarah? I ask Josh, nonchalantly. His face goes pale, the blood draining away. Bingo. So, he knows about Mark's mistress. He knows he's helping me cheat on a cheating husband. His complicity fuels a dark thrill, a giddy sense of danger. But there's more to this, I can feel it. I arrange a chance encounter with Sarah at a coffee shop. She's not the confident vixen I expected, she's edgy, insecure. She confesses, Mark made me feel special at first, now I feel disgusting. A twisted form of solidarity crackles between us, victims of the same manipulations. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, the saying goes. And in the warped reality I've created, Sarah could be a weapon. An idea flickers in my mind, as insane as it is exhilarating, a path to turn Mark's betrayals against him, using the very weapons he provided me with. Mark's clumsy excuses are transparent now. He stumbles over his words, leaves his phone unlocked like he's daring me to go through it again. I don't need to. Sarah's confession burns a path of destruction in my mind, a testament to his betrayal. Each stumble of his, every panicked glance, brings me a twisted sense of grim satisfaction. He deserves to feel the pain he's inflicted on me. Confronting Josh is strangely terrifying. It's a battle of wills, him trying to squirm out of the trap, me threatening to expose his complicity in the affair. When I finally say, Sarah, and watch the color drain from his face, my power over him is intoxicating and repulsive all at once. He's scared, but there's a flicker of something else in his eyes. Intrigue, maybe? A hint that he might enjoy watching Mark suffer as much as I do. It makes my skin crawl, yet I need him. With Sarah's reluctant help, we set the trap. It's pathetically easy. One carefully orchestrated, accidental run-in at the grocery store where Mark and Sarah are too engrossed in each other to notice their audience, and the proof is undeniable. The confrontation with Mark is a blur. I throw the evidence at him. The texts, the earring I miraculously found, Sarah's tearful words. Mark crumbles, his shallow excuses shattering. The fury pouring out of me surprises even myself. Every venomous word feels like a release, even as it leaves a hollow ache. The victory, when it comes, tastes like ashes. Sarah's tear-streaked face, the pathetic figure of Mark hunched over. It's not the triumphant exposé I expected. Instead, a chilling thought creeps into my mind. Am I the monster here? I've manipulated, lied, and destroyed my own life to exact a vicious revenge. Josh wants nothing to do with me after this. He ghosts me entirely, and I can barely blame him. The sight of my own twisted reflection makes me want to crawl out of my skin. Mark and I exist in a miserable limbo. Neither of us wants to be here, yet neither of us can find the strength to leave. My home feels like a tomb, a monument to the wreckage I've single-handedly caused. The divorce lawyer's office is sterile, fluorescent lights glinting off the gold lettering on his door. It feels like the most fitting setting for the official death of my marriage. Therapy is a different kind of torture, dissecting my choices, digging through the ashes of who I once was. Each session leaves me raw, more confused than when I started. Dinner with Mark is an excruciating exercise in silence. Words hover in the air between us, heavy and unspoken. It's tempting to scream, to blame, but what's the point? I'm as guilty as he is. The space where a happy couple should be is a void, and we both seem content to stay trapped within it. Whispers follow me everywhere. The grocery store clerk's too bright smile. The pity in the eyes of old friends. They feel like tiny needles pricking at my skin. I've become that woman, the one you gossip about over coffee, a cautionary tale about the dangers of revenge and how quickly a perfect life can crumble. And then, an unexpected lifeline. A text from Sarah. No accusations, no pity, just a simple question, coffee? It's a gamble, meeting up, but a desperate ache for connection pushes me out the door. We sit across from each other, two damaged souls caught in the undertow of the same storm. Bitterness lingers, but beneath it, a strange bond flickers. We are victims of the same betrayal, scarred in different but equally deep ways. Sarah becomes a twisted sort of friend, a confidant born of the absolute worst circumstances. We meet in out-of-the-way cafes, sharing our struggles, our anger, and a sliver of hope that we might rebuild something from the ruins. One gray, rainy morning, there's a knock at my door. It's Josh. He looks terrible, gaunt, eyes filled with self-loathing. The apologies stumble out of him, awkward and genuine. Not for the affair itself, but for enabling it, for not being a better friend when I needed it most. He's a mess, but I see a flicker of the man I once found attractive. There's not going to be a fairy tale ending here. No miraculous reconciliation with Mark, no passionate reunion with Josh. The path ahead is a blur of uncertainty, paved with broken pieces and difficult, honest conversations. But perhaps somewhere down that uncertain road, there might be forgiveness, for Mark, for Josh, but most importantly, for myself. 2 years, and I'm still learning to live with ghosts. Some nights I jolt awake to the phantom scent of Sarah's perfume. Other times a stranger's nervous tick makes my skin crawl with the echo of Mark's guilt. My shattered life has been hastily glued back together, the cracks still visible in the warped reflections. Sarah is a lifeline, but a tangled one. We share coffee, laughter, and sometimes, a comfortable silence. But there are unspoken shadows between us. The memory of Mark, the what-ifs of a friendship that might have been if not for the wreckage we both created. Work is my safe space. Deadlines, emails, the mundane rhythm of office life. It's a balm against the messy emotions constantly threatening to bubble up. Productivity is my shield, but it can't protect me forever. The therapist's couch is where I confront the twisted mess I've become, the lingering fury, the self-destruction disguised as revenge. It's an ugly process, but with each hesitant confession, a tiny sliver of the weight on my soul seems to lift. A stranger has moved into the house next door. He offers a friendly wave as I wrestle with overflowing recycling bins, a hesitant smile as I struggle with the lawnmower. He's normal, safe, everything that my life hasn't been in years. Yet, the spark of attraction that flutters in my stomach feels like a betrayal of every terrible thing I've endured. And then, an invitation, coffee sometime? My heart thuds a painful rhythm, a stark reminder of the last time a simple question like that turned my world upside down. There's fear there, the ever-present ghost of Josh whispering warnings. Yet, amidst it all, there's a flicker of curiosity, of hope, however fragile. The past can't be erased, and I'm scarred in ways that may never truly heal. But perhaps there's space in this new chapter for simple kindness, tentative smiles, and the possibility of a future not built on the ashes of the past, but something altogether different. Coffee with him is safe. Conversation flows without the dangerous currents that swirled around Josh. We talk about books, silly pet stories, the ordinary things that feel extraordinary after years of walking on eggshells. Dinner follows, then shared walks on crisp autumn evenings, my dog sniffing out a tentative friendship with his gentle golden retriever. There's a comforting kind of slowness to it, and the anxieties that live in my chest quiet down just a little in his company. His name is David. He works as an accountant, loves bad sci-fi movies, and makes a surprisingly good omelet. More importantly, he doesn't pry into my past, doesn't push for details I'm not ready to give. His presence is a balm, the normalcy I never realized I craved so desperately. One rainy night, fueled by wine and a flicker of courage, I tell him. Not everything, not the darkest parts, but enough. About Mark, the lies, the affair that consumed me. I expect to see judgment in his eyes, a flicker of fear. Instead, I find only understanding and a quiet sort of support. Confessing to Sarah feels riskier. But when I do, she surprises me. Good, she says with a wry smile. It's about damn time you found a bit of happiness. There's still a distance between us, always will be. Yet, I feel a sliver of gratitude for this unexpected, flawed sisterhood we've stumbled into. Sometimes I see Josh around town. He seems smaller, the swagger I once found attractive replaced by a hunched posture of defeat. Our gazes skitters away, the unspoken pain of what happened hanging heavily in the space between us. There's no forgiveness there, and perhaps there never will be, but there's acceptance. With David, things are different. They're tentative, built on the fragile foundation of shared vulnerability and a desperate need for something good. There are still nights I wake up in a cold sweat, expecting betrayal. Yet, there are more nights when I sleep soundly, his simple snoring beside me a testament to the calm I'm slowly learning to cultivate. It's not perfect, it never will be. There won't be a fairy tale ending. The scars I carry will always be a part of me, a reminder of the destruction I wrought, and the hard-earned lessons along the path back toward the light. But there's a simple sort of peace in accepting the messiness, the imperfections, and the knowledge that I'm finally creating a life that is mine, not one defined by the worst moments of my